we're familiar with the anti-white policies in affirmative action, in DEI, in university culture. But I want to show how this stuff has seeped out into the larger society. And I want to talk particularly about literary publications, poetry, prizes, works of art. There's a very interesting article in Compact Magazine that documents some of this in rather riveting detail. Let's read a few lines. Over the course of the 2010s, meaning the last decade, the literary pipeline for white men was effectively shut down. Between 2001 and 2011, 6 white men won the New York Public Library's Young Lions Prize for debut fiction. Since 2020, not a single white man has even been nominated, of 25 total nominations. The past decade has seen 70 finalists for the Center for Fiction's First Novel Prize, with again, not a single straight white American millennial man. Of 14 millennial finalists for the National Book Award during that same period, exactly 0 are white men. The Wallace Stegner Fellowship at Stanford, a launching pad for young writers, currently has 0 white male fiction and poetry fellows. Of 25 fiction fellows since 2020, just 1 was a white man. Perhaps most astonishingly, not a single white American man born after 1984 has published a work of literary fiction in The New Yorker. At least 24 and probably closer to 30 young millennials have been published in total. So out of these people published, not one white man. And this is now the world of, you could say, chic fiction and poetry and literary fellowships. But it is a window into how the extent of the discrimination. Because you might expect, let's just say, for example, that whites are 70 to 75% of the population. That's about right. And white men are about half of that. So white men are larger in number than any of the other minority groups. Certainly larger than blacks, and by blacks I mean black men and women put together, or Hispanic men and women put together. And so you might expect that even if there is some preference that is given to minorities, you would still see a substantial representation of white men. But really what the article is demonstrating is that no, in the name of social justice, in the name of fighting whiteness, in the name of diversity, they have eradicated white men from the field. And think of what that does to your aspirations. I mean, I was an English major at Dartmouth, and at one time I thought about the idea of writing fiction. In fact, for my thesis, I wrote a kind of creative novel. And even though most of my published work since then has been nonfiction, nevertheless, think of how demoralizing it is, what a blow to your morale, to basically realize that the pipeline of opportunity has been tightly closed. I suppose this is perhaps somewhat similar to what blacks faced in the 1930s and 40s, and now it has come full circle. Now, in the earlier part of the century, last century, blacks would, quote, pass as whites, meaning they would try to get doors of opportunity open by pretending to be white. And of course, in many cases, the blacks who did that were partly white. They were light-skinned blacks who could be mistaken, if you will, for white. And now you have the exact opposite. And here's an interesting story. One of my favorite stories from the woke era is the sordid tale of Yi Fen Chao, an obscure poet whose poem The Bees, the Flowers, Jesus, Ancient Tigers, Poseidon, Adam, and Eve was selected for the prestigious Best American Poetry Collection of 2015. Very interesting. This Yi Fen Chao is clearly making a mark, right? Well, guess what? What the editors of Best American did not know was that the same person had been rejected over 40 times by journals large and small. and that Yi Fen Chow was not a Chinese woman with a complicated immigration story, but a nondescript white guy from Fort Wayne, Indiana, named Michael Derek Hudson. Debbie and I care about our health, and we've come across a remarkable device that is a total game changer. We use it, we love it, it makes a huge difference. It's called Juvent Micro Impact Platform. It's based on the latest cutting-edge science. It uses micro-impact frequency to promote joint health, improve bone density, boost circulation, and even stimulate the production of stem cells in your body. Crazy, right? But it works. All you have to do is stand on it. I stand on it for about 10 or 12 minutes a day, Debbie a little longer, and that's it. It's going to make those crinks and stiffness and aches and pains vanish, and it can even add up to 5 years to your life. Wow. You got to learn about this new technology. It's not to be confused with some gimmicky vibration plates out there. Go to juvent.com/Dinesh to learn more. That's JUVENT.com/Dinesh. And they've got a great deal for you right now. $500 off, 10-year warranty, financing options, even a 6-week buyback promise, because they believe in the product so much. Juvent can change your life. Find out more. Check it out. Go to juvent.com/Dinesh.